Hey everybody, today we are going to talk about the batteries for the Hubsan Zino Pro and the Hubsan Zino Pro Plus. A lot of questions about, can you use the batteries on both quads? Yes, you can, partly. So let's start with the Zino Pro Plus, and it comes now with a supposed 5,000 milliamp hour battery. Which simply goes in the same way and locks on the bottom with this little clip. So can that battery be used in a Zino Pro? Yes, it can. So what they've gone and done is they've basically chipped it or added some programming into the chip that's within the battery to tell the Zino Pro Plus, yep, we're using the right battery, you can fly. If you go and put in the original 3,000 milliamp hour battery for the Hubsan Zino Pro, or the Gifi battery, which is 4,200 milliamps, which this is the one I recommend you buy for the Zino Pro. If you try to put that in the Zino Pro Plus, it works, it goes in. Let's take this off here. You can power up. Everything works perfectly fine until you go to fly with the app. They've put the chip in there, tells you, or they've got the programming in here looking for that communication from this battery here to say, yep, you've got the right battery, you can fly. If you're using the original batteries, you can't fly. Up in the top here, I'll show you a screenshot in the app. You'll see at the very top of the app, it gives you the message about the battery, and it will not let you arm the motors. You can go in and look at your firmware. You can do everything on that app except for starting your motors and go fly. It just will not let you. I didn't check to see if it would let you record or anything like that, but that's kind of a moot point if you can't fly. So that's one thing Hubsan's gone and done, is they've made it so you can only use this battery with the Pro Plus, which to me, I think that's kind of a stupid thing to do. Yeah, they want you to buy this and get more sales on this, but let's say you had a Zino Pro or a Zino, you crashed it and you've got 5 batteries. You'd want to be able to use those batteries even if you had a shorter flight time. It's not that bad of a battery to where you could still use it and get the flight time just to have some fun and fly your drone. So that's one stupid thing I think they've gone and done. I'm going to say shot themselves in the foot for it. Yeah, they're going to get more battery sales on this, but I think in the end, if you make it to where it can use both, more people are going to purchase the drone. If I have a bundle of batteries and I'm kind of on the fence about buying this drone because I have to buy more batteries of this type, if I didn't have to do that, it would make it an easy decision to purchase it, basically. So I think that's kind of a stupid thing that Hubsan did on their part. They're playing this battery game where they're trying to create this proprietary battery, but in the end, they're also screwing it up between the battery and the app. You're not getting the exact same information there as to what the battery meter tells you versus what the app tells you. The other thing is they tell you, do not use this battery because it will burn your motherboard. It's a smaller battery. Go on their website and look at the Zino Pro Plus. It specifically says, do not use the Zino or Zino Pro battery in this because it will burn the motherboard. It just won't work. That's all they need to tell you. It's just typical goofy stuff with Hubsan. So you can put that battery in here. It will power on, but you cannot fly. So that's something that you can bank on right there. And I use the Gifi battery in it, but it is the same with the Hubsan stock battery. Same situation. Put that in there, you get that same message. So that won't allow you to fly. And you saw the message up on the screen. So now let's take the original Zino Pro, and what can we do with that? Of course, you can use your stock battery. Thank God we have the Gifi battery of 4,200 milliamps. This is the only battery I would buy for it, but you can use that battery. But can you use this? Well, if you slide it in there, this is a Zino Pro. If you slide it in there, it stops. Or does it? If you look at mine, see that crack? It stops right here. See this crack right here? It doesn't go all the way. Watch this. It's all the way. And it's locked in the bottom. Now you can't do that unless you make a modification. So let's take an old skeleton here of a Zino. And hopefully you can see this up inside. Yeah, you can see it. See that little hump all the way in the front corner there? Right up in here. See that little hump? That stops the battery. Now the Zino Pro Plus battery will go in there and it'll stop. It'll still make a connection, but it does not lock, and it will come undone. So you see that gap right here? And you see the bottom? It's not locked. It needs to go a little bit further. So all you got to do is take that little tab. All I did is I took an X-Acto knife, a razor knife, and I cut it out. So this one's black. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it. Of course you can't see it good. Let me grab you a flashlight here, guys. If I have one that works. Okay. So let's put a flashlight in there. See where I cut it out. It holds no hardware. It's no vital part of the quad. It's not there to make up anything structural. It's just a little hump that this battery, when you put it in, would hit up against. Yeah, this part right here would hit up against it, and that was it. Cut that out like I did here on this one. It's gone. And then that 5,000 milliamp battery fits like a charm. And you can use it. Now I'm going to leave the gimbal cover on because this poor little guy's sick. Everything works with it, it connects, but the gimbal is broken, so I still need to fix that. And then when I connect this one to the app, I'll put a screenshot of the app up there, but when I connect to the app, I don't have a battery message because the Zino Pro isn't programmed, doesn't have the upgraded hardware that the Xeno Pro Plus has. It's not programmed to identify between batteries. I don't think that's something that they're going to go and just add in the firmware. I think that's actually a hardware difference for them to have that, to where it recognizes the battery, because there is hardware differences within the Xeno Pro Plus. So I think it's a possibility they could change it within the firmware, but if I own this, well, I do own this, but if this is the only one I own, Zino Pro, and I wanted a 5,000 milliamp battery, I would take the chance and order one and use it as long as I could use it, which I think will be indefinitely. I really don't see them making a change to this, but again, that's just a guess on my point. But it does connect. You can see on the app, everything is fine and no warnings, and I can fire up the motors on this and fly it. So we will do some testing just to show you that this does fly. Hopefully I get the gimbal fixed on this one, but it's not playing nice so far. So I think it's actually a problem with the board that won't let the gimbal work. I've replaced the cables on the camera and the gimbal, and I still cannot get this gimbal working. I've played with all the firmware and tried restoring it that way, and could not. So I don't have a good Xeno Pro board anymore. I've sold them all. So I may be stuck with it not having a working camera or gimbal, and just keep it line of sight and test the flight time that way. But this is just to show you what you can do with the batteries. So you have more options with the Xeno Pro, because really the biggest change with the Xeno Pro and the Xeno Pro Plus, there's no no other bells and whistles except for longer range. Most people don't go that far anyhow. You see us idiots on our channels do these little flight range tests. But the way things are now, you got to follow the rules of line of sight. And the way things are now with everybody reporting everything you do, you don't want to be caught out there with your pants down in the quad far out, miles out there, and get yourself into some trouble and get yourself a big fine. So unless you live where I do, where nobody even knows I'm there. So you buy the Zino Pro, or if you own the Zino Pro and you buy this 5,000 milliamp battery, basically you've got the biggest upgrade to a Xeno Pro Plus there is. So there's really nothing else. No big advancements in the camera. Some of the firmware kind of matches up to the Zino Pro, so I think it's just the flight control that's really different. I really haven't paid that much attention, but I think the camera firmware and stuff like that's the same. Camera and gimbal, I'm not sure. I'd have to double check that one. I've got so many firmware versions in my head from messing with so many quads and helping people, so I get a little confused there. But Xeno Pro, you have more options. You have a Gifi battery, you have the stock battery, and now you have the 5,000 milliamp battery. As long as you cut that little tab out, this will lock in place and you will fly safely. It will not come out, and I will do more of that on my channel. And that's pretty much it. So I've got the Xeno Pro Plus. I'm limited to its battery, which is fine, but I literally have 10 at least 10 of these batteries. It would be nice if I could use more of these instead of buying more of these, but you just can't. So I think Hubsan kind of shoots himself in the foot there, because what does it hurt? Really, what does it hurt? It's going to give you less flight time. You should be smart enough to know if you're going to put a smaller battery in it, you're going to have less flight time. It might have some conflict with the firmware, just as far as the firmware battery meter. The Xeno Pro Plus is going to be looking for that larger battery. If they allowed us to use a smaller battery, you might have a little difference in your reading in the meter in your app. But those are all things that I think we're all big boys and girls out here, and you should be smart enough to make that decision for yourself and know that you've got a smaller battery and you're going to have lesser flight time. So anyhow, you can only use that, we're going to say, proprietary battery now for the Xeno Pro Plus. Xeno Pro, way more options, way more options. If you have a lot of batteries, use them. You want to buy new batteries, you want to buy the Xeno Pro Plus batteries, all you got to do is cut that little piece out, you're good to go. And those of you who don't want to do that because you're worried about warranty, it's just your call. I'm not telling you, hey, cut it out and you have to use that battery. I'm just telling you, you can, and I have done it. So I think any videos I do with the Xeno Pro Plus, I'll probably do some with the Xeno Pro as well, using the same battery, just to show you these are basically the same quads, a little more range, and that's about it. Who knows, maybe I can get the same range with the Xeno Pro now that I have a larger battery. I really haven't played a whole lot with the range on that. So that's it. Just wanted to show you the batteries are compatible, and for the Xeno Pro from the Xeno Pro Plus, but not from the Pro to the Pro Plus. So many of you have probably already known this. Some of you probably didn't, but now you do. So that's just one of the many videos I'm gonna have to come with the differences between the two, what you can do with this or that. So and there's always more and more questions, and then I try to do videos based on those to answer those questions. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Thumbs up on your way out. Subscribe if you're new to my channel, and hit that bell for future content, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace and love.